Chemical Vials. What's up, gentlemen? In this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about chemical vials, going over the many different ways you obtain them, along with all of their uses. Starting off, vials are a tier 3 resource that you receive in the mid to late game, and at first they're kind of a hassle to get. After completing the level 40 mission, it's a gas. You will unlock rebels that spawn in the Heartland, and they have about a 5% chance to drop 1 to 2 vials. Around this time, you will also be completing some missions alongside that, which also give you a couple vials, but unfortunately, you'll be using them to make a couple things for missions after that. However, this isn't the only way you obtain chemical vials, because you actually get them from a few different sources outside of that. Firstly, there are several boss fights such as the Ancient Sentinel, Spider Wasp Queen, and Goliath Tank, where you have a flat 75% chance to receive 10 to 25 vials from each one of them. And this is usually the main way you obtain them later on. Other ways of obtaining vials is through boss strikes, where they show up as a reward quite often. You can also gain 4 per day from the Chemical Reservoir, which you unlock at level 68, but this building is unique and you can only ever have 1 of them. But then, starting at level 66, you will start facing randomized Spider Wasp encounters in the Spider Wasp nest, where you have an 8% chance to receive 2 to 4 vials, as well as a 10% chance of getting teeth. Do note that these are way tougher than the ones in the Bigfoot country. You can't bring vehicles in because of the cave, and there's an environmental fire DOT that persists for the entire fight, which can make these somewhat tough. And then these last 2 methods are some that we're not sure will fully come back, and the first is one of the more shiesty ways, and it is to raid or occupy someone's chemical storage facility or their chemical weapons lab, where you'll receive either just 1 for raiding, or if you occupy, you'll receive 4 every 4 hours for a maximum of 48 hours. And then lastly, you can get them very rarely from the friend vs friend PvP fights, but this is very RNG dependent and is definitely going to get rebalanced in the future. Moving on, let's actually take a couple steps back to the 2 buildings I just talked about, that being the Chemical Storage Facility and the Chemical Weapons Lab, which you both unlock at level 41. Originally, you have a storage limit of 10 vials, but the Chemical Storage Facility ups that by 50, and you can have an unlimited amount of them, which is really nice for the late game. The Chemical Weapons Lab is also super important because it is required for all the main chem units in the game. The first of these units is the Chem Trooper, which you unlock at level 41 at the barracks for gold, steel, and 7 to 10 vials. I've talked about this unit many times, and every time it reminds me of how bad it is. They have only 1 attack that is a lot like the Flame Trooper, but has a bit more damage, inflicts the poison DOT for 3 turns, and has 50% armor piercing, which is alright, but unfortunately they only have 1 range, so they are considered a frontline unit. The thing is, their health doesn't really back that up, getting up to 315 at R6, which wouldn't be bad for a mid-range unit, but this is a frontline, so that's awful. It also doesn't help that the thing costs steel, gold, and 1 to 3 vials to heal, which pretty much makes it the worst use of vials in the entire game. The second unit is the Bio-Grenadier, which you unlock 2 levels later at 43, and can be trained at the barracks for the same gold, steel, and 7 to 10 vials. This unit also only has 1 attack, which on the surface looks worse. It does deal less damage, but has the same 50% armor piercing and does inflict poison for 4 turns, which is interesting. The one stat that definitely makes this unit better than the Chem Trooper is the 1 to 2 range, where it can actually hit stuff from the middle row, which makes it infinitely more usable. It does have slightly less health, with it getting up to 300 at R6, but because he's not only usable in the front, that's actually pretty alright. The one thing is that, just like the Chem Trooper, to heal it, it does cost gold, steel, and 1 to 3 vials. Now moving on to units that are actually viable, we have the Light Chem Tank. You unlock this unit at level 44 at the Vehicle Factory, and they cost gold, oil, steel, and 14 to 20 vials, which is pricey. They have 2 attacks. The first you unlock by default, and it's a chemical spray that's in a column, and it deals pretty okay damage with a 100% chance to inflict poison for 3 turns, as well as having 50% armor piercing. The second attack is unlocked at rank 2 for 10 nanos, and it's similar to the Chem Trooper, where it hits the 3 tiles in front of it, and pretty much has all the same stats as the first attack. But when it comes to health, light chem definitely delivers, where it reaches up to 600 health and armor combined at R6, but to heal it, it is a little shisty, costing gold, oil, steel, and 2 to 6 vials. The last mainline chem unit actually costs nanos, and it is the heavy chemical tank, which you unlock at level 45 at the vehicle factory for 70 nanos. This unit can kinda be treated as a side upgrade to the light chem tank, and does have some interesting quirks. It has 2 attacks. The first is unlocked by default, where it shoots a chemical spray in a reverse pyramid shape, dealing progressively less damage with 50% armor piercing, and a 100% chance to poison for 3 turns, but this is misleading because that 100% chance only counts for the red area right in front of the barrel, so most of the time it doesn't poison everything. Its second attack is unlocked at rank 2 for 10 nanos, and it's a chemical shell that hits in a double plus pattern and deals pretty good damage with the same 3-turn DOT and 50% armor piercing. This attack is actually pretty good because it's able to poison backline or softer units more easily, which can definitely help in a lot of fights. In terms of health, it's actually pretty dang strong, getting up to 720 health and armor at R6, and weirdly the healing cost is actually better than the light chem, where it just costs gold and 2 to 6 vials, which is pretty alright. There's also technically one more unit left, but it's actually a defensive structure, and it is the chemical sprinkler. You unlock this at level 42 and costs gold, steel, and 5 vials to build. You have to build 2 of these for a mission, which is unfortunate because they're not that great, dealing shitty damage in a movable row area that does have 50% armor piercing and a 100% chance to deal poison. But along with dealing no damage at all, it only has 225 health, so it'll most likely die very quickly. Overall, it's a bit annoying that we have to build 2 of these for the mission because that's just 10 vials that are being flushed down the drain where they could have been used elsewhere. Moving on from the mainline chemical units, let's talk about some upgrades that include vials in the cost. The first that probably comes to mind is the Wimp. After going through the treacherous grind of ranking up the Wimp to 6, you are met with 2 attacks that both cost 10 vials to research. These 2 attacks are what make the Wimp so amazing because they turn a very shitty spam unit into a very cheap but solid frontline bitch slapper. The next is actually the Turtle Sheller, where after ranking this guy up to rank 5, you unlock arguably its best attack, which is a chem shell that costs 5 vials to research and deals pretty decent damage with all the same traits of the usual chem unit, including 50% armor piercing and a 3-turn DOT poison. The last is surprisingly the Zoe's Trebuchet, where at rank 3, you unlock the Napalm Canister that costs 3 vials to research. This attack is pretty alright. It hits in a 3x3 pattern and deals okay damage with a 100% chance to set things on fire for 3 turns, which is pretty good. Before moving on to the most important use of vials, we have kind of a weird unit with a very interesting heal price. It is the Spider Wasp Egg. This is a defensive unit boss drop from the Spider Wasp Queen at a 6% chance, and it is generally considered the worst boss drop in the entirety of Battle Nations. The actual attack on the egg is pretty good, to be honest, dealing very solid damage to the 3 tiles in front of it with a 55% chance to poison for 3 turns. The health on it is also quite good, getting up to 950 at R6, and it does spawn a Spider Wasp drone after dying. But the thing is, the healing cost on this unit is straight up aggravating. It costs an insulting 5 to 23 vials, plus some gold to heal, making it one of the priciest units to heal ever. And when you take into consideration that it's basically the poison version of the electric fence that you obtain later on is more pricey to heal, as well as having less health, it's understandable why people hold a grudge against this thing. But finally, the last and most important use of vials in Battle Nations is the production of plasma. When you unlock the plasma refinery at level 67, you use vials and oil in order to produce plasma in a way similar to making steel. It is interesting though, because unlike all tier 3 factory buildings, there is a strat to getting the most out of the vials used at both the normal and advanced refineries. At the normal refinery, keeping it at level 1 or 2 and only using the 4-hour job will net you the best vials to plasma ratio at 3 to 1. And leveling it up any further or using any other job will basically waste vials. Similarly, with the Advanced Refinery, the 4-hour job at level 4 will net you a 1.75 to 1 vials to plasma ratio. However, the ratios are a lot more generous, and leveling it up further isn't as detrimental. And then from there, you can use the plasma to train, upgrade, and heal the various plasma units from the plasma weapons factory. Overall, the Chemical Vial is an interesting and important resource in Battle Nations, and currently it is kind of a pain to obtain, but in the future it will get easier and easier to obtain, especially with the various bosses that drop copious amounts of them later on. But on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or thought it was helpful, consider dropping a like or subscribing. I hope you guys are all having a great day, and I'll see y'all later. This unit also only has one attack, which on the surface looks worse. It does, okay.